All right, today I'm going to show you how to implement a get random button. So this could be a tip or an article on your website and just adds a little bit of discoverability to all of the content that you're making on your website and working so hard to do. So I'm just clicking here, and each time I click, I get a new template item from our Webflow CMS. Let's get to it.
Hey there, WebBay.
All right, so I've got Webflow project here. All we have is a navigation at the top and a main section with a hero section in there. First thing I'm going to want to do is hop over to my Webflow Resources Notion database, click the little magnifying glass here and type random. I want this one right here, so we'll open that and start reading the instructions. Step 1, add a hidden CMS collection with embeds that use slugs. Set the embed class name to slug and give your button an ID of random button. So go back to Webflow here, drop in a collection list. Right inside the navigation, our source is going to be this tips CMS collection. And let's drop in an embed right into that collection item. And now we're just going to press this add field button and add a slug. I'll go ahead and save and close that, and we can see the slug names populating here. Now our CMS is just 7 tips right here of useless Webflow tips, like forms, has a slug of forms and a tip of use forms to add contact forms, surveys, and other types of user input to your website. Don't know why we need a website that says this, but we do need to learn how to get random tips. So let's keep moving on. Now the instructions said to give this HTML embed a class name of slug. So let's do that and just double check that our get random tip button here has an ID of random button. Okay, that is done. And let's go back and see where we're at. The hidden CMS collection and the code below will be needed on every page that you plan to use the random button. I'm going to implement this by making our navigation a component so that anytime I drop that component anywhere, the code will work. Back in Webflow, I'm going to go ahead and take this collection list wrapper and go to the styles panel and hide it, because we don't need to actually see it, but we need that data to exist on the page. And then I'll go back to Notion here, and I'm going to copy and paste this code, and I'm going to put it in an embed also within our navigation. Now this code, if I open some script tags and close some script tags, is accessing our random button and our slugs. Now, if this is happening, it's important that this exists below our collection list that has all of our slugs in it and also our random button. So random button is nested deep in here. So let's go ahead and shut that down or collapse it and bring HTML embed right down there. And then since this collection list wrapper is hidden too, I'm going to bring that to the bottom. So we can add hide to this, and that way, although the extra space in Designer goes away, come back in here and let's walk through the code real quick. So we have this variable called random button. We're getting a reference to the random button on the page using the document.querySelector method. Here we're passing in that ID of random button. Next, we have a variable called slugs. This is going to get a node list of all the slug text. We're getting the slug text via this document.querySelectorAll method and passing in the class of slug. Later, we access the text content with the slugs, accessing a random index of text content. Now the random index we get right here in a variable called random index. We use Math.random. This function returns us a random number between 0 and 1, but it's going to include all these fancy decimal numbers, and we don't want those. So very first thing we'll do is multiply it by slugs.length, and then we'll take math.floor on that whole thing, and that's what's going to give us an integer so that we can access an index right below here. Next step is to define a variable called URL, and URL is a string that looks like any sort of URL you would plug into the address bar of your website. So we start with this https://. Then we get window.location.host. This is going to return like google.com or webflow.com, whatever that main section of the URL is. And then we're adding the string of / collection name /. Let's change this to tips because that's the name of our collection. Now on random button, we want to add an event listener, and we want to listen for the click event. When this click event fires, we're going to run a function here, and all that function is going to do is set window.location equal to the URL that we just defined up above here. So let's go ahead and save and close this. And now with nav3, I'm going to right click this and create a component out of it, and we'll call it nav. So now anytime we use this nav on another page, it's going to get these hidden collection list wrapper items with the slugs and that little bit of code that we wrote there. So let's go back to the instance and let's go to the tips template page and let's drop our nav instance right in there. Go ahead and publish this and we'll access it. And now if I click get random tip, you can see I'm getting a random tip each time I click. So we got forms, now we got interactions, now we got forms again, now we got clone feature. All right, if that video helped or you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Yeah.